All right, class. So let's go over this together. I think there was some confusion about what was being asked of you, just and how to approach the problem. It's a really good, it's a good time, because I think we're close. I think a lot of people are very, very close to being able to do this, but not 100% sure how to put all these little pieces together. So let's talk about this because we should understand that basic logic of what we're trying to accomplish in the program, right? So we want to write a function that takes two parameters, a list named flavors and a string named response. The function should check to see if the response is in the list named flavors and print out, great, we have your flavor, sorry, we're all out. So this basic concept is what we did yesterday. Based on the value of response, please make your program work for both uppercase and lowercase letters in response. I just said in response, but then I also said you cannot assume the strings in the parameter flavors are all lowercase to begin with. And a hint, the .lower method returns a string. That is the original string in all lowercase letters. Now, one careful thing there is the .lower method returns a string which is lowercase letters, but it doesn't permanently change a string to lowercase letters. In order to do that, you'd have to store it in a variable, right? So first things first is we're going to write a function. So we say def, and then we need to give it a name. Now here's where a list named flavors and a string named response are the two parameters, okay? So based on that wording, right, you must put flavors in here and you must put response in here. Like that's what it's telling you to do. Now, it is a little tricky with Python because there's something about Python which is saying that flavors thing is a list, and there's nothing about it saying that its response is a string. But we can sort of assume that that's the way this thing is going to work. So now the issue is a lot of people basically said something like, I don't know, if response dot lower, so they made that lower, right, is in flavors, print this message out. Else print sorry, we are all out, right? So okay, so great. So let's just say great. Okay, let's say whatever. So how do we check this? How do we check to see if this works? Well, we need to have a list and a string to check it with, right? And I guess this could be declared underneath there. But I could say that list does not have to be called flavors, right? Down here, I could call it whatever I want. So let's make a list. How about choco latte and vanilla and so I'm just trying to point out that like you could get some kind of crazy looking strings here. Y, which is the string that the person gives us, could be something like chocolate. Now, the way I want our program to work, I want our program to print true. I want our program to print true, or not print true, but print out, great, we have your flavor, for something like this, Now, this is something you may not have realized, right? But that's kind of what I'm saying. Now, how do you do this? Now, typically, we would have to do something like this. And I saw some people doing this and kind of getting this issue, right? By the way, X and Y are the parameters, right? X and Y. So again, understand that you can put something in there, and flavors is the variable that takes on the value of whatever you put in, and response takes on the value of whatever you put in. Just like a function of math, like f of x. F of x equals x plus 4, and you put 4 in there, right? X becomes 4. So what if we do something like this? Let's try this. What do we do? So, okay, we get sorry, we're all out. Okay, that's not what I wanted to get. And then I also get this none thing. Well, why am I getting none? And I'm getting none because there's no return. There's no return on this, right? And therefore, we really don't need to print out the call to the function, right? The function has print statements inside of it, right? So if you do something like this, you get, sorry, we're out. You don't get that extra sort of none thing. Those are getting that extra none. That's why you're getting that extra none. Okay, but let's go back to this and ask ourselves why, or how we can sort of clean this up. How we can clean this up. Because we are sort of checking the lowercase version of chocolate. By the way, you know, chocolate is, it's not really called so much. But what if we had something like that, right? But we're not checking the lowercase version of flavors. So what some people did is they said, okay, I'm going to iterate through my list. So I'm going to say if flavor in flavors, right? That's a way to iterate. And I'm going to say, for not if flavor, but for, right? So it's iterate. And then we'll say if flavor will be the individual flavor, I'm going to make that lowercase is equal to response.lower, right? Then let's print out great, we have your flavor, else print sorry, we're out. So this logic is pretty good in the sense that, like, yeah, it is checking the lowercase versions of response versus the lowercase versions in the list. And so we will kind of generate that positive outcome that we're looking for. The problem with this, though, is we're also generating like a sorry we're all out like every time they don't match up, right? So we're actually generating something every time they either match up or don't match up. And it's like, well, that's not what we want to do. So some people kind of went like this. They were like, oh, what I'll do is I'll check, I'll check if we find it, great. I'll say we have your flavor. Otherwise, I get to the end and I print out sorry we're all out, right? Well, this is one of those things where, like, if you're writing a function and you kind of have that nature of return, this logic is going to be good because, like, return will get you out of this thing. And then if you make it to the end, it means you never found it. But with the print statement, it's when it prints the first time, it's not jumping you out of this function. You know, you're still going to execute the rest of the function, so you're still going to print out sorry we're all out. So you're getting closer, and you really are on to something, I would say. And there is a way you could throw a return statement in there essentially to get you out of this thing, but and that's not really probably going to harm anything in Python because we're not declaring whether or not this function returns things or doesn't. So there is a way to do that, but avoiding that, and let's just try to think of logic, like how we can sort of logically keep track of whether or not we have found the ice cream. Right? So how about we write, we write found equals false, right? We'll assume we'll start out with this idea that we have not found the ice cream. And so instead of printing something out right here, let's hold off on printing. Like, I'm not going to print until I'm done checking, right? So what if I say, so now let's think about what we got here. So I got a variable that's going to keep track of whether I found the flavor, right? Do you agree that if flavor.lower equals response.lower, we found it, right? And so how about we say we found it? True. Now be careful about saying else found equals false. We do not need to do that. We do not want to do that. Otherwise, we get the same issue we had essentially here, where every time there's a check, we're either like turning that switch on and off, like the whole time. Basically, what I've got here is I have a switch which is off. And if I ever find the flavor, I turn the switch on, and the switch remains on, because it's been found, right? And I don't need to turn it off. Every time I don't find the flavor, I don't need to turn the switch off. It's off already. So if I never find it, it's just going to stay off. So be careful about this kind of thinking. You don't really need that nor want that in there, right? So now I think you're at a place where you could say, well, if found equals true, or just if found, hey, let's print out, great job, or great, we've got your flavor. Else, we'll print out this other thing, right? And boom. Great, we have your flavor. We got that just one time. Great, we have your flavor. Am I done? Should I feel really good about what I've done here? Be careful. Be careful. Let's try something like peanut butter, Okay, sorry, we're allowed. Okay, like it. So I would want to try some more things, but I feel pretty good that the logic here is strong. The logic here is pretty solid. Is that the only way you could have done it? Like, did you have to do it like that? No, you didn't have to do it like that. That's one way to do it. Let me show you another way too, because I mean, I saw a lot of people trying to make that list like lowercase. And unfortunately, you cannot just take the list and go dot lower. And I wasn't 1,000% sure. I mean, I didn't think you could do that, but I wasn't 1,000% sure. So I actually did something like this, where I took this thing, put it in here, and went like dot lower. No, I can't do that. Can't do that, right? And then, so people want to iterate through the list and go like for, do I have X? Yeah, so X there. So like for flavor in X, flavor equals flavor dot lower, right? I want to try that. That didn't work either. So what happens is if you take a variable, right? Like for variable name in list, right? The variable name is going to take on the value in the list. Great. The variable is taking on the value in the list. But that variable name does not have like a direct association with the list. Like it is not, it's not referencing the object in that location. Right? It's just, it's actually like kind of a new, it's like a new version of that value, really. It's a different variable that's holding onto that value temporarily. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is what you want to do. You want to say for I in range, lang x, right? And then we want to say x index I. Now that is referencing the object in the location, right? If you say x index I equals x index I dot lower, you are changing the value in that location in the list, okay? That may be a little difficult to understand, like the distinction between what's above and what's right there, but there it is, right? So that could have been some nice code, right? And this is kind of what I was thinking you would do, really. I was thinking you kind of want to go that direction, where you say like, you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to change everything in that list to be lowercase, right? And then I could just say, hey, if response is in the list, is in that sort of new list, now we could do this cool stuff and print things out. So that's sort of another way about it. It's not like in what didn't that one? Yeah, so sorry we're all out, and then what if I put chocolate in there? Yeah, great. So you can see that idea kind of works too. So a couple ways you could do that. Oh, by the way, in this scenario, would I need found equals false? No. So boom, you can do it like that, which I like. It's kind of what I was expecting you to do. The other way is a little trickier, but I saw several people kind of head down that path or try to use that path in their result. And there's always a way to sort of work that way as well. Okay, so hopefully you guys get something out of this, and have a good weekend. All right, I'll see you Monday.